Hey everybody, welcome back to Prescription Bourbon. I'm DMC from Louisville, Kentucky. Today I'm going over my top favorite bourbons and whiskeys of 2023. Alright, so I'm going to follow the same format this year that I started last year in 2022, which is to not only rank my top 3 favorite bourbon whiskeys, but also add my top favorite non-bourbon American whiskey and my favorite world whiskey. So I'm going to start with my world whiskey. My favorite world whiskey for 2023 is Blue Spot, which is an Irish whiskey. Get this guy open. I'm going to actually pour this guy. Sip on this while I talk. But this bottle I picked up probably almost 2 years ago. I really didn't do a full review of this Blue Spot, but this is a 7-year Irish whiskey, a cask strength. So this particular one comes in at 58.7% alcohol, which is 117.4 proof. This is aged a minimum of 7 years in bourbon barrels, primarily bourbon barrels, but also sherry butts and Madeira casks. So, very fruity nose on this. Great, Irish whiskey flavor on this. This is pot still Irish whiskey. So it's got a good spice level from those bourbon barrels. It's got some good, not just the fruit on the nose, it's got fruit on the taste. It's got a lot of vanilla in there, and it's just spicy too, probably from those bourbon barrels. But it's a nice lingering spice level. Nice mouth coating all around. So that's my top world whiskey for 2023. And then next up is going to be my top American non-bourbon whiskey. So my top American non-bourbon whiskey this year is a rye, and it is Old Forester single barrel rye, which comes in a cask strength also. This comes in 130.5 proof. This particular bottle I have, Warehouse K. So this comes from Old Forester. Yeah, I've been a fan of the Old Forester rye that they put out at 100 proof. A little over 5 years ago, and it's great that they're now releasing some single barrels. I picked up one bottle of this at Old Forester Distillery and another one at a local liquor store, and they both have the exact same proof and warehouse and floor. So I think it was basically a release they did. The proof level on this 130 plus is spicy. It drinks warm. I mean, I'm not gonna say super hot, but it's warm. But spice and the rye spice and the flavor on this is wonderful. It's got a great spice level, that rye spice and flavor. It's a great bourbon lover's rye. So Old Forester Single Barrel Rye is my top American non-bourbon whiskey for 2023. All right, so on to my top 3 favorite bourbons of 2023. There's been some amazing pours that I've had this past year that I either got a pour of somewhere or that I traded samples with somebody for. And some amazing bourbon whiskeys that I've tried. But my criteria for being in my top favorite is generally that I definitely own the bottle and really enjoyed the bottle that year. And in most cases, I went back and bought a backup bottle. At least I enjoyed it that much. So in years past, that's been one of my criteria. So bottle number 3 for my favorite bourbons of 2023 really snuck in at the end of the year. I was fighting with my list. Really had a really hard time narrowing down to my top 3 this year. I can definitely see where in future years I might have to expand my list to top 5 or so. I know a lot of people do top 5s, top 10s. So top 3 is tough. The bourbon that I was thinking was going to be my 3rd place for quite a good portion of the year, right at the end got bumped out. And it got bumped out by Booker's. This particular one is Mighty Fine Batch, which was a 2023-03 release. I did a review on this, and This is a wonderful, wonderful bottle. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, I've generally liked Booker's, over the years. I think these 2023 batches, especially towards the end of the year, really, really took off. This bottle I own, I haven't picked up the 2023-04 yet. I know it's still in the stores. I plan on picking up one of those. I did have a pour of the 2023-04 batch, which was the Storyteller batch. So I definitely plan on picking up one of those. But this Mighty Fine batch is mighty fine. Great beam flavor in this. Really rich depth of flavor with the spice. The viscosity. This being non-chilled filtered. Uncut, unfiltered, and definitely has a little bit of that beam profile. That a lot of people like to say beam nuttiness and all that. So it's got some of that dusty nut flavor in here too. So wonderful bottle that I really enjoyed this year. All right, so coming in at number 2 on my list of favorite bourbons of 2023 is Elijah Craig Single Barrel. In particular, the C923 batch. So been a huge fan of Elijah Craig single barrels over the years. I've been doing these yearly favorite bourbon reviews for over 5 years now, and to date Elijah Craig single barrel is the only bottle that has made a repeat appearance on my list. So I actually try to pick different stuff and not the same stuff over and over again, but clearly Elijah Craig Barrel Proof fits my flavor profile perfectly. I've enjoyed it many, many times. I talk about it all the time in reviews I do. And this 2023 batch, this C923 batch, comes in at 133 proof. And they actually started putting an age statement on it this past year. And it's a 13 year, 7 month. So it's the oldest age stated one so far. Great proof point. Delicious release. So, the other ones this year, the A123, the B523, delicious also. I don't think I've really ever had an Elijah Craig Barrel Proof that wasn't really good, but this particular one stands out, and I just couldn't leave it off my list this year. That's how much I enjoyed it. So, amazing bottle, when you can find them. All right, so that's going to bring us right to my top favorite bourbon of 2023. And coming in first place for me this year is barrel bourbon batches. So, in particular, batch 33, 34, and 35. So, these batches have really been very enjoyable. I picked up a bottle of the 33 in late 2022. Been sipping that throughout the year. I had a couple samples of the batch 34. Picked up this batch 35 mid-year or so, and it's just as good. And there's slightly different flavors between these. These are batched products, but I think Barrel's doing some wonderful stuff. So the age statement on these, may seem a little low. These are cask strength. All these are cask strength. Batch 33, they had over 13,000 bottles, and it's just listed as 5 years old. Batch 35, they had 9,600 barrels, and they listed at 6 years old. But they're pretty transparent on their batches when you go to their website or you read about them. They'll tell you it's a blend of, Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee whiskey, and they'll tell you what ages they are. So the age statement on here is the youngest. So when it says 5 years old, that's the youngest. But it'll say on their website that it's a blend of like 5, 7, 9-year-old, or sometimes even older. So they don't tell you the percentages, so they're not quite as transparent as somebody like Bardstown Bourbon Company, who breaks it down to exact percentages of what's in there and all that. So they're a little transparent, but not fully transparent. But that's okay. They're making some delicious stuff. Hadn't reviewed either one of these bottles. I think the only barrel that I've reviewed to date is I did review Barrel Seagrass before, which is a rye. Delicious rye. It's got some different flavors in here than your typical rye, and it's a nice sip. I find myself reaching for this every once in a while. And then I'd also reviewed Barrel Vantage, which is another blend they did of finished blend of bourbons, and that comes in at cask strength also. I know right at the end of 2023 they actually released their very first non-cask strength bourbon ever. I believe it's called Barrel Foundation. I really look forward to picking that up. That's a little bit lower price point also, so that'll be welcome. The price on these isn't bad at all compared to some bottles in the market, but these are typically in your $80-$90 price range. I know they do have some special releases that go up well into the hundreds, but these normal releases of theirs are in that $80 to $90 price range typically. So some delicious stuff. I'm going to give 33 a little pour here. And Barrel's not distilling their own distillate. They're basically a whiskey blender located right here in Louisville, Kentucky. That is just so nice. Classic bourbon flavors on that. Great nose. This 33 is nice and sweet on the palate. Good spiciness on there. Doesn't drink that hot. Proof on these, I think I mentioned it. 33s comes at 116 proof. I did say they were cask strength, and batch 35 comes at 117 proof. So they're real close to each other. So, but 116 proof, this is nice. You can feel the heat, but you can taste the sweet. You get some nice cinnamon. You get some peppery spice on the back end. The different batches are, like I say, slightly different. You might get a little bit more fruit on one, or a little bit more pepper on one or the other. But doing some very nice blending over there at Barrel. Look forward to sampling more of their releases in the future. So there you have it. There is my top favorite bourbons for myself. My palate, what I've enjoyed drinking for 2023. Everybody, make sure you hit that like button if you like what you saw here. Hit subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Leave some comments down below if any of these were some of your favorite bourbons recently. If you like these, if there's some other things you think should be on my radar. So appreciate any feedback. Remember, everybody, all bourbon is whiskey, but all whiskey is not bourbon. The best bourbon comes from Kentucky. Cheers.